Hello and welcome to the Ciao Flower Shop mini album tutorial series designed for Scrap and Create. If you are just joining the tutorial series, don't forget to check out the links in the description box below where you will find the links for all of the papers and the other supplies that I am using from the Scrap and Create website to create this album. Let's get into the tutorial. In today's video, we are going to build and decorate page 4. So to start with my page, I have a piece that measures 6 inches by 8 1/4 inches. No scoring is needed. The next piece measures 6 inches by 9 1/4 inches. Now on this piece, on the 9 1/4 inch side, I'm going to score this at 1/2 inch and 8 3/4. Next, I have a piece that measures 5 7/8 by 5 7/8, doesn't need scored. I have 2 pieces that measure 5 7/8 by 4 1/2, neither of these need scored. I have a piece that measures 6 inches by 6 1/2, doesn't need scored. And then I have a piece that measures 4 1/2 by 7 1/2, doesn't need scored. Then I have one tiny little piece that measures 2 inches by 2 1/2 inches. On the 2 1/2 inch side, we're going to score this at 1/2 inch along the bottom edge. Now I'm going to take my scissors and miter the ends on my 1/2 inch tabs of my 3 pieces, I think, maybe only 2. Only 2 pieces on this one. And then I'm going to use my bone folder to burnish those score lines, and then we'll come back and assemble the page. I'm going to begin assembling the base of my page. So I've got my 9 1/4 by 6 inch piece with my tabs on it. I'm going to place my adhesive on one tab, then take my 6 inch by 8 1/4 inch piece and make sure that that edge of this piece is lined up with the top from the first piece, and burnish this down. Then I'm going to open this page up, apply my adhesive to my second tab, and then close this page. Make sure everything is straight across the sides, and then burnish this down. Now this page is going to be built very differently from the other pages because of how I'm going to put these features on. So I'm actually going to bring in my decorative papers next and start working with my decorative papers on these pieces. And then once these pieces are done, we will add it to the base of our page. I am starting with this 12 by 12 paper here, and I've cut these 2 cards off. I'm going to set this one aside for now and use this one. This one I'm going to place at the bottom, so my piece is 6 inches by 6 1/2. Now this is going to be a little bit larger on the sides than 1/8 of an inch because this piece should be on a 5 7/8 inch piece, but that's okay. I'm going to make it work. It won't look bad whenever it's done. Then I've got this piece here, and this is from this paper. It's the 12 by 12. It had that clock on it, so I just cut a strip off the top to 1/2 inch by 5 5/8 of an inch. I'm going to place this across the top, and then I'm going to place this down here. Before adhering this paper down, we need to adhere this piece of paper. So I'm just going to lift mine up to get this to work, but I want you to put yours on before so you don't have to do this. And you're going to be placing your piece about 1/2 inch from that left edge, lining up the score line with the bottom edge of the paper. Now from this same paper here, I've cut 2 more pieces to 1 inch by 5 3/4 of an inch. I'm going to adhere one here to the top and one here to the bottom on the base of my page. Now I'm going to set both of these pieces aside for now and bring this piece in and my 5 7/8 inch square piece in. For this, I'm going to be making a frame like we have done on previous pieces. So I'm going to be cutting along the inner portion of the pink, but I'm not going to be cutting this left piece here. I'm going to leave that intact. So I'm just going to cut right through what's on the paper. I'm not going to be fussy cutting around anything. So I'll just use my straight edge, my ruler, to get a nice straight clean cut across all 3 of these lines. Now I'm going to bring in my scoring board and I'm going to try to line this up. I have, I put pen in my, or marker I should say, in my 6, just in the center of the board. That way if I need to line something up, I can use that to line it up. I'm going to try to line up this 4th edge in that 6 and score this section here. Then I'm going to take this and open it this direction so that this will actually be like a hidden spot for photos. I have my 5 7/8 inch piece now, and I've got this, and this is going to be going right down here. But I'm actually going to be putting a piece in here covering up this portion before I adhere my frame down. So I'm going to take my pencil. I have this on the page where it's going to go, and I'm just going to trace this. And then I'm going to remove this. Now from this 12 by 12 paper, I've cut a piece that's 4.5 by 4.5, and I'm going to place this right here in the center like this. So I'm going to place this down. So now that's where this piece will go. So the whole entire section will have cardstock underneath of it when you open that little frame piece up. So I'm just going to place this right down where I have those marks, and you will not see them once I get my frame piece put on. I want you to decide which side of the frame you are going to leave open for your photo to slide into. I'm going to leave this right side open here. So I did forget to put a magnet on and an enclosure on, so I'm going to show you how to do this before you have all of your papers on. So your pages aren't going to look like this, but that's okay. Just look at the pieces that I'm showing you. Before you put your frame on the page, you want to take a magnet and you're going to place it here in this frame section. And it's going to be about 1¼ inches from the left edge and in this frame. Once you have that magnet on, you're going to have this paper on first. You'll put the magnet on next, and then apply your frame piece like I'll show you next. Now I have this tag. It's from the A4 papers. I'm only going to be using the top portion of it though. So I am going to take almost 1 inch off of the top. So I'm just going to cut this top portion off here, and I'm going to be using this here as a tab. That way you know that this is going to be on a swivel, so you'll be able to use this to pull. So I want you to decide if you like it in the front, like this, or if you like it in the back, like this, with that little white section between them. Now I'm going to put mine like this. So I am going to take my piece, apply my adhesive to just that bottom portion. And I'm placing mine, I'm using the little wooden frame on the piece as a guide for where I'm placing this. And then I'm just going to adhere that right down there. Now I'm going to take my whole frame piece and adhere it down. And this is where I've decided I'm going to leave the side open and the photo will slide in to the side. So then I'm going to apply my adhesive here across the top, the left side, and then the bottom edge. And once I have that on, I'm going to go ahead and place this right down on my piece. And adhere everything down so it's nice and flat. And now I'm going to open this. So there's actually spots for 2 photos or photo and journaling, whatever you would prefer. And this is open, that you'll be able to slide the photo in if you have a bigger photo, or a 4 1/4 photo would go right in there and you wouldn't have to actually keep this down either. So this is big enough to put a 4 by 4 photo. So I'm going to leave mine like that. Then I've got this little teeny tiny butterfly, and the butterfly is from this 12 by 12 up here. So I picked the yellow butterfly. I have a little tiny piece of white cardstock. I'm going to back this on my cardstock and then fussy cut around it. Now I'm going to take this and I'm going to adhere it right down to the butterfly on the frame, but I'm going to leave this piece open. That way this, when I open it, it will catch on this to keep it closed. So I'm just going to adhere this portion down here and a little tiny bit on the left bottom section. And then I'll place it there. I'm going to remove that. I'm going to pop that edge up just a little bit so it's easier to get that piece inside there. Now I have 2 more of my tags from my A4 papers, and on this one I'm going to do the same thing I did with this one here, and I'm going to cut 1 inch off the top of both of these tags. Next, I'm going to be using this 12 by 12 paper. I cut a strip across the bottom, that's 4 1/4, and these are 5 5/8 of an inch. I'm going to be using these for my 2 5 7/8 by 4 1/2 inch mats, but I'm going to be placing these across the tops of these 2 pieces as well. So I'm going to use this piece first. I'm going to take this off for now. Now I'm going to line up the top edges of these 2 pieces. For this one, I'm going to take this piece here and tuck it between these 2. And I'm going to be using, again, this same frame, that little like wooden frame, as the guide for where I'm going to be placing this one. And once I have that placed where it needs to go, I'm going to lift this up. And I'm just going to mark where that needs to go. and then place a little bit of adhesive on this and placing this right at the top of my photo mat. Then I'm going to lay this second one right on top. I'm going to take this one and lay it on top again. Now all three of these, the edges should be lined up. I'm going to take my purple one, and this one is going to be between these ones. So I'm going to line it up, and when I like the look of it, I'm going to go ahead and come up here and adhere this bottom portion down to the photo mat, just like this. Now I'm going to go ahead and apply one of these to the front of each of these photo mats. Now I've taken these two pieces, I believe they're from the A4 paper as well. Now for this little one, I'm going to apply adhesive down the right edge and across the bottom. And I'm going to apply it here in this bottom right corner on the white portion of this mat, so the photo will slide behind it. And then for this one, I'm going to apply my adhesive across the bottom. And then I'm going to place this one here on the bottom in the center, and I'm going to adhere it down to the white on the mat. That way that photo will slide completely behind there. Now I'm going to layer these up how I had them before. I'm going to take this one. Now this one, the pieces are going to be layered at the bottom, or this bottom edge, I should say. These three are at the top, then this one has a bottom edge here. And I am going to take this, and I think for mine, I'm going to do it right in that corner. That should work well for all of them. So I've got these three. I'm going to keep those together for now. I'm going to take my piercing tool and pierce down through all of these layers. Then I'm going to just take this one and I'm going to line up the bottom edges. And now this is just 1/8 of an inch smaller, so I'm going to actually center this here. And then mark and pierce a hole down through that one as well. Now with all of these, I'm going to take a brad and place a brad right down through all of these layers. And through that final layer as well, and then open this up on the back side. Then I've just got a little tiny leftover piece of cardstock. It doesn't have to be super big. A 1 inch by 1 inch piece should be fine. And I'm just going to adhere it right over the prongs on the brad to cover those up, because this is going to actually be a belly band on the page, so I want to make sure that when I slide my photo mat in and out of there, it doesn't get caught on those prongs. Now once this piece is put together, I'm going to flip over on the back side and I'm going to apply a thin line of adhesive down both sides. And I'm going to adhere this to the center of the page. So I've used my centering ruler to mark this 3 1/4 inches from the center on both sides. And then I'm going to place this down and make sure the sides are straight and adhere this down. Now, once I have that on, I'm going to go ahead and move those pieces out of the way so I can really burnish this well. Then we have this little tiny gnome piece. This is from the 8x8 paper. It had the bookmark piece here, and I just saved that. I'm going to be placing this right here on the front. Now I need to adhere a magnet over top of the one on the frame and then place it on my little tiny closure piece. And then again, from the 8x8 paper, same paper, I've cut this little piece and I'm going to use that to cover my magnet. Now from the same 12x12 that I cut the yellow butterfly, I've cut the butterfly next to it. I left a little white border around it. I inked my edges, and I'm just going to place this up here on the corner of the little, I'm just going to put my adhesive first on the bottom of my butterfly, and then I'm going to place this on the corner of my cut apart, my part that I've cut out. So this will be like a tab. So it'll be tucked in this one, but then you can use this to pull this out. Now, once all of this is done, we'll go ahead and close this up. This will keep these from moving. Then the last piece I have is the 4.5 by 7.5 piece. This is going to be a photo mat that goes down here behind the belly band. For the front of the photo mat, I'm going to be using this 12 by 12 paper. I've cut this to 4 1/4 by 7 1/4. So it's just going to go right here on the front. Now this is from the back side. We use this on the photo mats inside here. So we're just going to use another piece of this, 4 1/4 by 7 1/4. And I'm going to place this here. Then from my A4 paper, I've cut this little boat. I'm going to place it here, and I'm only going to adhere down the bottom section. Then I have this little tag that's, I believe it's from the A4 paper, I'm going to place in here. So you can place your photo there, and then you'll have a little journaling spot too that'll be tucked into this. Now I have my photo mat finished, and I'm actually going to put it in the pocket this direction. Or the belly band, I should say, not the pocket, but I'm going to place it down through my belly band like this. Then I will close this up, and the front part of my page is done, so we can move on to the back side. The first piece for the back of the page measures 5 3/4 by 8 1/4. On the 5 3/4 inch side, we're going to score this at 1/2 inch on the right hand side. The next piece measures 6 3/8 by 8 1/4. Now, your piece is actually going to be cut to 6 3/8. Mine is only cut to 6 1/4 because I cut this in correctly. So when you score this, you are going to score yours at 1/2 inch and 5/8 of an inch. So you're going to have a 1/2 inch tab here. Mine's just going to be a little bit smaller, but your piece 6 3/8 by 8 1/4 will be fine if you score it at 1/2 and 5/8. Next, I have a piece that's 6 3/8 by 5 7/8. On the 6 3/8 inch side, we're going to score this at 1/2 inch on the left-hand side. Then I have a piece that measures 2 inches by 9 1/4 inches. On the 9 1/4 inch side, we're going to score this at 1/2 and 8 3/4 inches. Then I have a piece that measures 8 1/2 by 5 1/4. On the 8 1/2 inch side, we're going to score this at 4 1/4 inches. Now I'm going to fold this one And then I'm going to miter the ends of all of my 1/2 inch tab pieces and then burnish all of these score lines. I'm going to start with my 6 3/8 inch piece. Now I have my little 1/8 inch gusset flattened out. So you want to put your adhesive on that 1/2 inch tab section first. And then we are going to apply this large flap to the right side of our page, lining up that score line with the edge and then lining up the top and bottom so everything is straight, and then burnishing this down. Now I'm going to pop this 1/8 inch gusset piece up so that this is in the correct position. And I'm going to next take my 5 3/4 by 8 1/4 inch piece, and I'm going to be placing this here, but I'm going to be placing it so that this is straight with the edge of the page. So I don't want to go into that 1/8 inch gusset when I adhere this one down. So I'm going to apply my adhesive first to my 1/2 inch tab section. And then I'm going to turn this sideways, line up the score line with the edge of my page, make sure that the top and the bottom edges are straight. And then I am actually going to press this page. I'm going to open it up this direction. So now I'll actually be able to see that little 1/8 inch gusset that I've created. And I don't have to worry about that piece moving and being in an incorrect position. Now I'm going to open both of those flaps up. I'm going to take my 6 3/8 inch flap here, and I'm going to put this in the center. So using my centering ruler for this, I'm going to apply my adhesive to that 1/2 inch tab section first. And then I'm going to adhere this right down to the left side of the page, lining up that score line with the edge of my page and burnishing this down. Then I'm going to take my belly band. It's going to go on the inside of this flap here. So I'm going to apply my adhesive here. And then I am going to be placing this so you want to make sure that you don't place it in that 1/8 inch. So I had to make sure that I could see this correctly. So 2 7/8, this is going to be 1 inch from center, like this. And then this card I'm going to place here under my belly band. Now I'm going to fold this part in first. I'm going to fold these in, and we're going to go ahead and start decorating the page. So I'm going to open up these 2 larger flaps and come in here first and place my ribbon down on the edge of this flap. So right in my center, I'm going to adhere off the edge a 9 inch length of ribbon. And then from this 12 by 12 that had the 4 cards on it, I actually left the butterfly piece out here so it is asymmetrical. I'm going to place this here to cover the end of that ribbon. I'm also going to apply a ribbon. I'm going to open up this flap and I'm going to apply the second ribbon here. Lining up with the first ribbon. Then to cover this ribbon, I have this paper here. It is a piece that's 1 inch by 8 inches. This is from the 12 by 12 paper. It's the leftover scrap. There was only a little bit of it left. It had that doily looking clock on it. So hopefully you'll be able to find that. If not, you can find a similar green piece of paper. And we're going to adhere that here. Then I'm going to apply my adhesive here and close this to form a pocket. Now from my 8 by 8 paper, I'm using this one. I cut 1 inch off the right hand side. Then I cut this to 5 inches. And I'm going to be placing this here on the front of this flap. Now I'm going to open up for the inside. I've got the final one of these cards. I also, again, didn't cut this straight. I did leave the edges of the butterfly and the flowers on the actual frame. Now I'm going to take this one and do a little bit different than I've done with the other ones, and I'm just going to cut this one through the flowers. So I'm going to be cutting here on this white frame section. So like I said, I'm just going to cut right through those flowers and cut just the center of this out. Now I'm going to be adhering the frame down, and just like previous times, I'm going to put my centerpiece in when I'm done, but I need to leave this open so my photo can slide behind it. So I'm going to leave this edge here open, and then I'm going to place my adhesive on the top, the left side, and the bottom edge. And since this frame is so much wider than the previous ones, I can put quite a bit of adhesive on here. Then I'm going to just place this right here in the center of my flap and adhere this down. Then I'm going to take my center section and apply it right back into the center of the frame, and then I'll lift the frame up so I can get this adhered down. I'm going to be using this piece for the base of my page, but I'm only going to be using the top portion of it. So I'm going to take and cut this here. And I'm going to cut this right at the shelf. So it's actually a little tiny bit more than 4 inches. I think it was 4 1/8 of an inch. And then I'm going to trim this. So my piece needs to be 5 3/4. So I'm going to trim 1 1/8 of an inch off of each side. Then I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to cut it right down the center so that I have 2 pieces. From this 12 by 12 paper, I've cut a piece to 5 3/4 by 4 inches. It's going to go here in the center of the page. Now, once I have these pieces cut, I'm going to take the one that says Flower Market and place it here at the top. And I'm going to take this one and place it down here at the bottom. And I'm not going to adhere down the top of this piece or the bottom of this piece. That way my photo can slide up under and down under these pieces if need if I need to, if I have a large photo, a 4x6 photo, will be trimmed down and fit in there. Continuing with this paper here, I've got a piece that measures 1 3/4 by 8 inches. It's from the 12 by 12. I'm going to place this here on the front of my belly band. Then from this 8 by 8 paper, I've cut a piece to 4 inches, and then I've cut 2 strips, 2 inches by 8 inches. One piece is going to go here, and one piece is going to go here on each side of my belly band. I've cut this, I believe it's from the A4 paper, and I'm going to be placing this here in the center of my belly band. So I'm just going to put a little mark here and here, and then apply my adhesive right here in the center. And then I will just adhere this right down to the belly band. Now for the card, I have cut this piece first. I've trimmed it down. I can't remember if this is from the A4 paper or if it's the 12 by 12 paper, but it is 5 inches by 4 inches. I'm going to put my booklet this way, and I'm going to place this on the front. Then opening up on the inside, I've cut these 2 pieces from, this was from the 12 by 12 papers. I don't know where they were, like this. So this is the 12 by 12 paper, and I've cut 2 pieces to 5 inches by 4 inches. I'm going to be placing these like this, here and here. And then from my A4 paper, or no, this is from the 8 by 8 paper. I had mentioned before that when I was cutting from this paper, I cut from the top and the bottom to try to salvage some of these smaller tags. So I did end up using some of these. If you did not do that, you can find 2 other pieces. I'm going to adhere one like this down here, and then I'm going to adhere this one maybe up here in this top right corner. Then for the back side, I've taken my 8 by 8 paper, and I've cut a piece to 5 inches by 4 inches, and I'll place that right on the back side of the card. And once the card's done, I'm going to place it under the belly band. So I have my card under my belly band. I'm going to close my page up here and then add some inserts to my front pocket. First, I'm going to be adding some pieces to my pocket. This, I believe, is from the 12 by 12 papers. It might be from the A4. I can't remember at this point. No, this one's from the A4, and this is also from the A4 paper. No, it's not. This is from the 8 by 8 paper. It's so hard now to tell because I have all my papers are cut into. So I'm just going to leave these as is, and I'm going to place these here in my pocket. So you'll be able to see them sticking out like this. And then I have these 2 tags. They're from the A4 papers. I did go ahead and pierce a hole into the tops of both of them, and I'm going to be threading the butterfly charm from Scrap and Create onto one of them, and then I'm going to thread the birdhouse charm onto the top of this one, and then I'm going to place these in my pocket. Now first I'm going to be looping, I'm going to put the ends through the front and then make that loop, and then pulling those ends through, and that will put the charm at the top. And then I'm just going to tie my knot to secure that charm to my tag. Once I have my tags done, I'm just going to place them in the pocket, and then the charms are going to hang over these edges. And that is it for page 4 and this tutorial. Now, if you are just joining the tutorial series, don't forget to click on the links in the description box below. They'll take you to the Scrap and Create website where you can purchase all of the Ciao papers that you will need to make your own album. I'll see you in the next tutorial.